Welcome back, Ross and Wars. We got a full house tonight. So Ross of the Latvia Unicorns and Nathan of the Stellenbosch Saints are all in the house tonight. So welcome back all. How was the weekend for everybody?
Yeah, no, it was good. It was good to have full NFL back on the screens. I've been gradually trying to get into college football and slowly watching whatever is recorded over here. So week 0 and week 1 of that was entertaining, but there's nothing like proper fantasy football and getting week 1 started. I don't know, how's it for you, Ross?
I feel a bit fatigued now sitting here after the week's done. I'm out of practice. Yeah, first week back, I need to get up to match fitness and get used to watching the 12 hours on a Sunday and the Monday night and the Thursday night. And yeah, so I'm out of fitness, but I'll be back up in shape and soon enough, I'm sure.
It's like working night shift, isn't it? You got to be awake like all night to watch all the games and try and be awake for the day at the same time. It's terrible. Right, so there's some big injuries over the weekend, which will affect a few things, real life and fantasy wise. So TJ Watt possibly out for the whole season. I guess will that have a big effect on the Steelers' defense? Are we looking at more problems there, or what do you think?
Yeah, I sort of read something that essentially it's going to come down to him deciding whether or not him or the team want the operation, because apparently, if he doesn't take the operation, he can sort of come back within 6 to 7 weeks, it seemed to say. And if he obviously has the full operation on repairing the pec, then he might be out for the entire season. Yeah, again, look, I think that game was one of the absolute ups and downs and an absolute roller coaster. I think everyone was expecting Joe Burrow to sort of carry on where he left off after sort of, even though he lost the Super Bowl, like that sort of playoff run was pretty special for most Bengals fans. But just Joe Burrow, his comeback essentially, and that Pittsburgh defense, Mike, you're obviously on the right side of it, fantasy wise, but that Pittsburgh defense turned up, and TJ Watt should be a huge blow for them. But they had other players put their hands up, like Mika Fitzpatrick and obviously Alex Highsmith and some of the other guys.
Definitely. I mean, for me, obviously Fitzpatrick picked 6 in the first 3-4 minutes. Fantasy wise was fantastic. I mean, yeah, it was a great day for me on that respect. Yeah, I think obviously the way that team's coached, I think they know their offense is probably slightly lacking this year, so the defense will pick up on that. I think Highsmith had a big week as well for sacks and other things. So interesting where that's going to go forwards. So
Ross was Highsmith already at the Steelers last year? Where was Highsmith last year?
Yeah, he's been progressing. He's a good player. He's a really good player. He was there last year, and now he's carried on. He's good form. He got 3 sacks, I think it was, in the first week, but I don't see that continuing without TJ Watt. I mean, he's obviously getting a lot of attention on the other side, and he still manages to put up 40 points, which is unbelievable, against me as well. So I ran into that buzzsaw. So yeah, it's the Steelers' defense definitely going to take a hit. Like I said, I don't know who the replacement is. I think Malik Reed. He's nowhere near TJ Watt's level. And like you said, Nate, as well, like they're going to win on defense. They're not going to win with that offense. So they had 5 turnovers and they only scored like 23 points.
Well, essentially they should have lost the game, but yeah, they managed to sneak it over the line.
And 7 of those points were on defense as well. So they didn't score many points on offense. So they need that defense to be rolling in. Without TJ Watt, I wouldn't put them up to much chance in the division now. Like,
yeah, part of the commentary on Sunday was like, hang on, we've had 5 turnovers, yet we're still going to overtime. What the? On the other side of the ball, Burrow's going, well, we're still in the game. I've given it away 4 times. I've got a fumble. We're still in it. I mean, it just goes to show you the fine balance of some of these games. And even the poor teams can have a good day.
With the fine balance was the snap. So there's 2 bad snaps, and that's two missed kicks, and that's the game done.
Yeah, kicking was an issue this weekend, and there's quite a few kickers were struggling. Some because of conditions, and others because they were not very good, I suppose.
Good old Lego man at Blankenship at the Colts. He will obviously rue that missed chance in overtime.
There was a few of them, right? I mean, I was expecting to see more kickers being released on Monday morning, Tuesday morning. I mean, it's just, it's a ruthless game, and they make the differences, right? The kickers win and lose games quite regularly. So as much as the quarterbacks that the general, these guys they're brought in for these clutch kicks. And one of the ones the Bears game was so far right, it always went out the stadium.
Yeah, but you can sort of understand the Bears game. Obviously, those conditions are ridiculous. But before we sort of move on from kickers, obviously, everyone questioned the Browns taking a kick in the fourth round, this Cade York, and straight away he went and he slotted it and he gave the Browns the victory over Baker, which I'm sure he wasn't too pleased with. But maybe there is something for taking a franchise kicker. If that's a thing now long term. Look at your Justin Tuckers, look at your Butkers. It helps the team knowing that their special teams are just going to keep churning points when their offense is not firing or when the defense does something special. So, yeah, it's obviously relevant.
Well, special teams seem to be overlooked, right? I think it was Shaq during the week. I think said, surprised more head coaches aren't spending more time on special teams. Games are won and lost on these things nowadays. So, all three phases have to be better. It's not just making sure the offense and defense go. You got to make the special teams, they're there too. So, it's quite interesting if certain teams largely had very poor special teams games. Maybe they've improved this year because the offense hasn't.
Yeah.
Talking about the Packers then. Talking about the Packers.
Packers, yeah.
We're going to go straight into it then.
Yeah, why not? Why not?
You hit it, Di. Let's drive right into it. The offense was terrible. I don't know. The whole team was terrible, to be fair, but so they definitely missed out on Davante Adams. Rodgers didn't seem confident at all throwing to any of those receivers. They obviously didn't have Lazard either, and they just got absolutely steamrolled by Kirk Cousins.
The defense wasn't much better either. I mean, Jefferson was just at times was just left so far untouched. They've got injuries. They've lost part of the offensive line. They've lost some deep. They've lost some players with injury started of week one, but must be quite worrying that the depth isn't sticking up. And obviously, if Rodgers isn't happy throwing to the rookies, and the vets, Watkins, they're not
talented.
Yeah,
I mean, he must be standing and you let obviously Adams. I understand they offered Adams decent money. He decided he wanted to go to the West Coast. Is how I understand it. But spending money on bringing big wide receivers in. Maybe they should have done that as well. Maybe that's this will so come back to haunt them in the summer. Not Adams, but maybe somebody that's been spent money on this summer.
It sounds silly, but even if they're gone and just got Christian Kirk, like if they got anyone that had any sort of, because there was obviously a big carousel of wide receivers. Look at the Saints with Jarvis Landry. I think that was obviously slightly forcibly moved from Jarvis Landry in the sense that he wanted out in Cleveland and wanted to sort of go back to Louisiana. But they are crying out for sort of an experienced receiver there. And someone like Randall Cobb, although he has the experience, he's probably the opposite or the too long gone side of the experience. I think they clearly miss Alan Lazard. Which again is saying something when you've got a team that is crying out for Alan Lazard to be fit, then maybe you do need to start worrying. But look, they used AJ Dillon a lot, and they're going to have to rely a lot on Dillon and Jones and Aaron Jones to sort of carry that team. Which, if you're an owner of either of those players in fantasy, great. But the rest of that offense is going to be an absolute question mark. And who knows? Look, Aaron Rodgers is going to have to be every bit of the MVP that he was the last 2 years if he's going to get that team competitive and going deep into the playoffs. Let alone, who knows? It would be criminal if they miss the playoffs. But let's not have too many knee-jerk reactions after week one. This happened the same time last year, so who knows? There's
also a guy on the market that's not been signed yet who was residing in California end of last season. OBJ.
Yeah.
Well, is that can they tempt him out the sunshine to the cold winter of the north?
Nah, no chance.
I can see him going back to the Rams, but I think that's something for later in the season. Other big news: the Cowboys, Dak, done for 8 weeks, 9 weeks, back week 10. Big miss for the Cowboys, I guess.
Look, I think firstly, you obviously have to give credit to Ben and the double gangers going straight to the waiver wire and nipping Cooper Rush there early doors. Obviously, Bill and the Justice quickly put everyone back in their spot and told them to return to the waiver wires like the bylaws suggest. But look, I think those are alarm bells in Dallas. And Cooper Rush, I doubt Cooper Rush would have, look, everyone's a professional in this league now, but I can't imagine him thinking that he would have got a chance at all other than a freak injury like this. It's going to be tough. That team, look at CD Lamb, became non-existent. Dalton Schultz, I didn't follow too closely. I don't think he had a big week either. He did all right considering the receivers, but that team, that Cowboys team, is all through Dak. Zeke is the wrong age, and Zeke is also sort of struggling to carry this workload. Him and Tony Pollard aren't working as efficiently as they need to. So if I was a Cowboys fan, and I'm not sure if we have any in the league, but I would be quite worried for Cowboys. Like I think it could be quite hairy, and you look at the way the Giants fought to win the game in Tennessee, and you look at how well the Eagles offense looked. Even flipping Carson Wentz looked like a new lease of life man in Washington. So that NFC East has gone from being a walk in the park for the Cowboys to suddenly, I wouldn't be surprised if they finished dead last in the NFC East.
And then Sean Payton comes in and saves the day. Yeah.
It's fine, as long as he gives the Saints a couple of firsts for Taysom Hill, we can obviously agree some sort of compensation.
It's your starting QB. You can't let him go for 2 firsts.
Yeah. Are you worried about the Cowboys there, Ross? Do you think CD has any value anymore?
I think he may have some value, but for people who are drafting him so highly, and he's not going to have that same return. I think he can still have some value being the number one guy on a team who may be coming from behind quite a lot, just through sheer volume. But yeah, he's not going to be like the top performer and be top 5, top 10 to finish the year, I don't think. But Cooper Rush is 1-0 in his NFL career, to give some hope to Cowboys fans. He came in one game last year against the Vikings, and he threw for 325 yards, scored 2 touchdowns as well. So maybe there is a wee bit of value there. But if I'm being completely honest, I think you're right in that the division's over for the Cowboys, and it depends on when Dak can get back. But if they've got 6-7 games when he comes back, then they may still be in with a shout at the wild card. But I just think the overall team was poor as well. So the other thing to mention is that before Dak went out, they were horribly bad on offense. So yeah, there's more than just the Dak problem, but now they need to fix the quarterback and all the other problems that they've got. So yeah, I don't see much hope.
Other names now being linked with the Cowboys: Jimmy G, which will cost them 3 first rounds or something probably now, which I can't see Jerry Jones paying. Cam Newton, Colin Kaepernick, me. Yeah, obviously the rumor mill started first thing this morning, right? So all these guys being linked with them. I can't see Kaepernick work. He hasn't played in 5 years. That'd be quite a big leap. It'd be cheap, I suppose. That's one thing that he might have going for him. And Cam Newton was pretty horrible last year, I think, from memory.
I just feel like these guys are on the market for a reason. And like obviously Cam Newton and Colin Kaepernick, who aren't playing, like if owners were interested in having them, they would be back at quarterback somewhere. I mean, the Cowboys knew Dak was at risk of being injured, and if he was going to get injured, they would be in trouble. It obviously happened last year. So I don't know why they didn't upgrade that position. So some part of me thinks that they're fine with Cooper Rush for a few weeks or 6 to 8 weeks, whatever it's going to be. So yeah, I'd be surprised if they do make a move other than to strengthen the backup quarterback position now. Yeah, like you said, the compensation on Jimmy G is probably going to be too much for his actual return for, what was it, 8 weeks, whatever.
Yeah,
whatever
there's also a no trade clause in there as well in his contract, I believe. So he'd have to give the okay to do that.
I think also the way Trey Lance started. And look, I don't want to be the guy that starts sort of a bandwagon. Trey Lance is not good enough, etc., because he's clearly talented. However, the conditions were extreme. But the way Trey Lance played, I can't imagine the 49ers happily just giving away their backup quarterback, who, in my opinion, probably would start for 4 or 5 other teams in the league tomorrow, week 2.
The thing to remember about Lance is he is basically still a rookie. He had very small exposure last year. Your first game's away in Chicago, it's so wet that the lines then wobbled. It wasn't the guy who put the lines are wobbling. It's one of those scrappy old-fashioned games. The Bears got it done in the end, thankfully. That's one of our wins for the year. But I don't think you can judge them in one game. But I think you're right. I think the 49ers are happily sitting on Jimmy G for the season. His contract's now at a reasonable price for backup. He's still very highly paid for backup, but he's not $25 million or whatever he was. They'll happily keep him. Yeah, if someone wants to pay him an absolute ransom, then great. But they won't. Yeah, these guys want to win the Super Bowl as well, right? So why weaken their own backup in case Lance does go down? But they'll happily keep him, I think, for the year now.
Yeah, no, I agree. Look, staying on injuries, Mike, what do you think of the situation now in Los Angeles with the Chargers and Keenan Allen? Because he obviously went out with a hamstring injury sort of halfway through the game. He already put on about 60-odd yards. It didn't seem to slow down Herbert too much, but obviously they're going into a Thursday night game against the Chiefs now. Obviously a quick turnaround. I think it's very unlikely Keenan Allen plays. Do you think the Chargers, can they keep up with the Tyreek Hill-less Mahomes?
They didn't use Mike Williams at all last weekend, from what I can see. I remember Tyler was saying a few times over the weekend, are they going to use Big Mike? They didn't. So this was a go thing, right? So they've he paid him quite well this year as well. Maybe he's the guy that steps into the wide receiver 1 shoes. They seem to have stacked up quite nicely. They've got some young talent coming through as well. Like I said, they didn't really miss a beat last weekend. Okay, your big top man goes, and they just keep going. I think it'd be more dangerous if someone like, no, even the running back wise, they've got Sonny Michel now. I think they've done quite well. They've got a nice little stack up in there. And defensively, I think they're quite a big. They're quite a monster this year. They've added some very big names to that defensive side of things.
Ross, do you think that the Chargers coped well with what Derek Carr threw at them?
Yeah, well, Justin Herbert was still throwing the ball around, and it was really DeAndre Carter that came in and replaced Keenan Allen. And I thought it was quite strange, like you mentioned earlier, but Mike Williams not targeting him. I think they maybe went in with a game plan, and instead of changing the game plan on the fly, they just sort of filled in with the players they had. So DeAndre Carter done really well. I'm really surprised that he came in, and he's mainly a special teams player and showed up here and there for Washington. But it seems to me that they'll have a different game plan going in against the Chiefs. It might involve Mike Williams more, might involve Josh Palmer more, maybe the tight ends who got quite involved as well.
Everett was targeted quite a lot, wasn't he, I think?
Yeah, and he made a really good catch as well. And it was a really good throw by Justin Herbert. I watched that game myself on one of the late games because I really love watching him play. And the other big takeaway from that game was the Chargers defense. And it was just so good. People making plays left, right and centre. Cleo Mack was really, really good, as well as obviously Devin James all over the field. And they got some turnovers as well. So I think it'll be a really good game on Thursday. And this will be the test, because I thought the Chiefs were really dominant but didn't really have to break a sweat. So we'll see. It's sort of a litmus test for where both teams are. Obviously, you've got week 1, and then you'll measure it from there on the second week.
Mike, what's your prediction, sort of over under total points combined with the Chiefs and the Chargers on Thursday? Are we talking a 60+ point game, 70+ point game, or do we think they'll sort of balance out each other? Or I don't know, what's your gut feel going into Thursday?
I think it'll be high, even with the defenses they have, because of the way the offenses are stacked on both sides. Both sides will be scoring 70 points, maybe not, maybe in the 60s. I think they can both score on defenses. I think that the Chiefs have shown over the last few years with Mahomes at quarterback, doesn't matter who they're playing against, they can generally find a way. apart from the Buccaneers game, wasn't it? I think he's just quite happily dominated games, made adjustments, got on with it. Chargers defense good. The Chiefs defense isn't bad either. I mean, I still think both teams are that high powered. They will score. Maybe taking combined 60 points.
And what about the sort of re-energized Clyde Edwards-Helaire? The man seems to have had a Isaiah Pacheco rocket up his backside. He's so ready to go now, and he was flying over the touchdowns.
Well, it's the guy you thought would be last year, right? Everyone thought he'd be stepping into those shoes last year and be the man. It was a great week for him. I think it helped the crunch out quite a lot with their scoring in roster rules this week. So, I like both these offenses, they've got so many different weapons. A different week's a different plan. They like you said, like the scheme last week was not to use Mike Williams for the Chargers. This week could everything go down Mike Williams' throat. You just don't. The ability of these sides to change the way they play is what makes them more dangerous. I mean, the Patriots for years, 1 week they'd run the ball forever, and the next week they would hardly run it at all. It just schemes against defenses. I think we fair play to him. He's a good week. Hopefully he can keep going the rest of the season for himself, but I guess we'll have to see how that progresses.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire played 39% of the snaps and still put up a good week. I think he played early on, got his touches out of the way, and then they brought in Pacheco, who obviously hasn't played as much in the NFL. So I think that's the reason for that. So it'll be interesting to see when they have like a more neutral game script, if they still rock with Helaire as the sort of running back one and everyone else supporting him, or if it's more evenly spread like it was in week one. So we'll see if he maintains that sort of value or not. I'm still hesitant.
And obviously Rojo was a unkitted player last weekend. He was rested.
Keeping him for the playoffs.
Keeping him fit for the rest of the season. Obviously, other injuries. You got obviously Godwin coming back from his ACL, and he's got a tweak on his hamstring, so he's out for a couple of weeks. Didn't appear the Bucks. They've got enough stacked up in the wide receiver room to shuffle things around.
Julio Jones came back.
He's back.
Didn't see that last year.
No. I guess he had a year off last year, didn't he? He relaxed and rejuvenated himself. But on that other chap in New Orleans, he's come back after a 3-year holiday, Michael Thomas.
Mate, Slumboy took a while. He took a while to get firing, but when Jameis finally got a bit of momentum behind him, eventually in the fourth quarter, I think Thomas and him sort of clicked a bit, and in that red zone, he's so deadly. Like that first touchdown grab. Maybe you can criticize Thomas for not sort of getting set early, but he should be in no position to inevitably take that catch. It looked like it rushed him massively, but he just takes it in the end almost seamlessly. And it's so good to see him back and fit. And you can tell that he's hungry. Look, I did sort of question him over the last 2 years. I feel like he's had a bit of a love-hate relationship with the Saints sort of fan base, and he's obviously struggled because it was sort of the end of Drew Brees and sort of the end of Sean Payton sort of period, and we were crying out for Michael Thomas last year, but now he's back, and I think he'll help Jameis massively. I just hope Jameis is good enough to get the Saints, just get them a ticket to the playoffs. I think then who knows? Then a fully fit squad with the Honey Badger in the back, and your senior heads like your Cam Jordans and Demario Davis, they're going to have to just carry the side. But look, I think the Saints versus the Bucks this weekend is going to be a spicy game. I think it's at the Superdome as well, and Brady's gone. He's been swept the last 4 regular season games. He obviously beat us to knock us out in the playoffs, not last season, the season before. But Brady will not be happy in his last season, not getting a victory over the Saints.
Yeah, the Bucks really eased to victory over the Cowboys, so I don't feel like we've seen the full power of their offense, and obviously they got stuffed in the red zone a few times as well. But going back to the Saints a little bit, I was quite surprised at Jarvis Landry's involvement. I didn't expect him to make that big an impact, and maybe it was just going at Landry first until Michael Thomas got warmed up a bit. But yeah, what did you think, Nathan? Were you impressed with Landry, or think they can continue?
Yeah, look, I was incredibly impressed. Look, I think the big reality is we've got, in my opinion, now we've got three wide receivers who are all capable wide receivers. You've got Michael Thomas, who 3, 4, 5 years ago was the best wide receiver in the league, hands down. He's obviously coming off a 2-year injury, but Michael Thomas on the field, you can't give him half a chance. So most teams are assuming Michael Thomas is the wide receiver one. Then you've got Chris Olave, who's again an unknown in the league. You have to sort of scheme his pace and how he might become free, and then whatever's left, you've got Jarvis Landry, and Jarvis Landry is just sort of getting himself open. He's an experienced head. He's a guy that's run a million routes in the league. He knows how to play the game. So Jameis Winston has got every weapon now to unlock these guys. I think it will be interesting to see who over the first sort of couple of weeks takes the majority of the target percentage. I think it will predominantly be shared by those two experienced heads of Landry and Thomas being more of the sort of red zone threat. And I think there will be some big plays, hopefully, for Olave to sort of run into. But look, it's nice having going from Marquise Callaway and Deontay Harty and oh man, who was that other guy? Little Jordan Humphrey. Like, it's nice going from these guys last year to having 3 wide receivers that I'm a lot more excited about.
And one of the top tight ends in the game as well.
Yeah, the gadget man, old Taysom Hill. Flip, I thought he was going to just quietly go about sitting on his bench earning his money this year. But look, fair play to Dennis Allen and Pete Carmichael, the defensive coach. I think it's crucial. The amount of money we're paying, he should be the starting quarterback, let alone this gadget player that he is. But he is, and he has that X factor about him. And look, Sean Payton's no mug. And although Sean Payton obviously put a bit of a noose around the Saints by giving Taysom Hill such a hefty contract and such a big sort of burden to carry, Taysom Hill has glimpses of this X factor where he's able to create plays that are big yardage, whether it's receiving, whether it's passing, whether it's running. And I think all teams now after week 1 are going to almost have to have a special teams to contain Taysom Hill as a defensive sort of structure where they will set up for Jameis week in, week out with our 3 wide receivers and whoever plays the tight end. And as soon as you see Taysom Hill under center, it could be an absolute curveball. So it's a good way of having just something up our sleeves to use once or twice a game, which is needed in the game, I feel.
Well, he's certainly effective on Sunday when he gets the ball in his hand. So I guess we'll see more of that as the season goes along.
Yeah. Let's see.
Other injury, Elijah Mitchell. I guess he's the second running back anyway in San Francisco, behind the guy who doesn't want to be a running back.
Jeff Wilson.
Well, yeah. Trey Sermon's long gone now, so yeah. I guess he's out for 2 months. I guess, well, they'll just rotate Debo back into running back more often, I suppose. And Jamal Adams, no timeline yet, but he seemed to go down, well, with a biggish injury last night, which is being described as serious. So another issue for the Seahawks to overcome. Although I think Gino didn't look that bad last night. He didn't look great, but he didn't look that bad from what I saw.
No, he didn't. He was he was competent, and I think that's what he's sort of what Pete Carroll wants. Pete Carroll wants a yes man who will just do what he says, put the ball where he says, and Geno Smith did that. And I don't think it's going to have a particularly high ceiling for the Seahawks throughout the year. And I don't think they're going to win many games this tight and this close. Really, the Broncos threw it away. And they had 2 fumbles on the goal line. I think they got stuffed again on the goal line. And then horrible coaching decision to not go for it on 4th down and kick a 60-whatever yard field goal, which was just absolutely crazy when you've paid that much for Russell Wilson. This is the reason you paid him this much money, is to win games in that situation. And it's completely bizarre. So I don't think it's as much as the Seahawks played well. I think the Broncos really should have won that game.
Yeah, I think the Seahawks gone very old-fashioned, right? It's run defense. It's little air time, run it as much as you can. Although that's what Kenneth Walker was inactive last night as well. I guess, you know, from what they're set up, I mean, it's going to hurt DK a little bit, I think. But I think it's a bit more old-fashioned where they're going to run it as much as they can, keep possession of the ball, run it, try and keep the sticks moving, and then force games rather than win games. I think it's probably the way it would be. But I guess we'll see on that front. Talking of weird decisions, the Texans punting in overtime. Now that to me that's like, all the excuses you want in the world, but that's very defeatist for me.
It is quite, but I think, look, all of us neutrals, because again, I don't know if we've got any Texan fans out there, but everyone wants every team to go into a game trying to win it. Go for your 2-point conversions. Obviously, take the field goal, play your fourth down. But I think Lovie Smith, I was briefly listening to another podcast earlier today, and it was saying that Davis Mills, I think in the second half, had a combined 70 yards of sort of offense, and there was nothing there. He had sort of the last 4 or 5 had ended in punt. So it's a big risk there, and it sounds defeatist and it sounds silly, but I think what Lovie Smith is trying to instill in that team, or at least I'm trying to give Lovie Smith a little bit of credit, is that they're not willing to lose that easily. And I know winning should be the ultimate sort of goal. You want to win every game. But I think there is a bit of positivity in saying to you and the squad, the other focus needs to be, we will not lose the game. Doesn't matter how we play, we will not lose the game. But as you say, it was a bit of an interesting decision, and look, it could have backfired massively. I think if they had lost that, it would have been an absolute outcry. But I don't know, Ross, what was your reaction to the punt?
Yeah, I feel the exact opposite. So, yeah, you're right. They didn't really perform well in the second half, the Texans, and it was 6 punts in a row, or 5 punts and a fumble for the Texans. But you're just telling your whole team, I don't believe in you. You don't have the talent to get this over the line. And strange things can happen in the end of games, and you need to put it on the players' shoulders. You can't play for a tie. What's that going to get you? Are they going to win the division because they got a tie instead of a loss? Probably not. And you can't say to your team, and they didn't even, it wasn't a case of, if we get this, don't get this first down, then we're automatically going to lose. The Colts weren't in field goal range. So if they didn't make the first down, they could have put on their defense as well. So both the offense and defense, no faith completely from the Colts to get, what was it, 5 yards, whatever it would have been.
Yeah.
Well, it's very much Lovie Smith of old from his days of other franchises. I was looking at the stats. I mean, they had 299 total yards, 222 of those passing. Looking at the Colts, they didn't really set the world alight on offense this year, that game. Matty Ice, he's no mug. He's been around a while, but didn't seem to get them moving as fluidly as maybe even Carson Wentz last year at times. Pittman, I thought, was decent. It was 121 yards with a touchdown, but they didn't strike me as a team that you were kind of expecting to just go on and beat a flagging Texans. So to then punt it away, you'd have thought, right, okay, let's go for it. Let's make them come down and beat us. I thought it was a bit of a strange decision, but
look, I think after week 1, looking at that, where is it? I think it's the AFC South. After week 1, even though they lost, I think the Jags are going to win the AFC South. And it's a big statement, but I 100% agree with you, Mike. I don't think the Colts are impressive. Look, it'll take a while, or it seems like it's going to take forever for Matt Ryan to sort of get on page with his receivers there. JT again looked good, but JT couldn't carry that team all on his own, and JT is what he is. Yeah, exactly. He tried. I think the big loss was obviously the new Shaq Leonard. I think on defense they just didn't have that sort of X factor. But look, that offense needs to find something. Alex Pierce had a few exciting targets, but ended with nothing. And I thought Alex Pearce looked quite exciting, but there were a few, I think, red zone ends and sort of targets that where he was open, but didn't sort of fall in his lap. But yeah, look, I like the Jags. I like what the Jags are about, and I'm putting my flag on the Jags for the AFC South.
I'm just looking at the stats for the game. Jonathan Taylor had 161 rushing yards on 31 carries. That he can't do that every week. I mean, that's great.
Why can't he? He done it last year.
Yeah, he's going to. I'm telling you.
I'm the Jonathan Taylor owner. I hope he does it every week.
Well, that's fine. That's fine. Hopefully, you can to get some get some more points for you next week. And you haven't got a steamroller of the blitz coming at you either. That was incredible what he put up last week. I mean, for you last week to be the third highest scoring offense and to still lose by 99 points is
third highest scoring team and Rising Rookies. And lost by 100 points. It's just unbelievable.
So yeah, that's the beauty of fantasy football, I guess, to a point, and the fact we've all let blitz get such a very strong squad. So yeah, other than that, I'm trying to think what else we've got here.
Well, Nathan got beat by 100 points as well. If we were talking about roster loss.
Yeah, I know exactly. I took a hammering from Keith. He turned up and set his lineup and his running backs and the Steelers' defensive stack with Mika Fitzpatrick and Alex Highsmith, and their 80 points combined just sent me home. Also Cam Akers, who knows what the hell's going on there, but I hope he gets a couple more carries on over the weekend. Otherwise, I could be in an absolute rebuild.
Well, there's about 3 minutes left, and I can feel those whole 3 minutes of how well my team played. I was pleasantly shocked. I did a lot of work on the defense in the off season with RFA and stuff. But yeah, Minka Patrick 45 points from the off. Happy. I've got a win. Happy. This week that's a blitz, so they all need to turn up and play twice as well this week for me. So
that's a bit of a juggernaut game there, the blitz and the Legion in RR at the moment.
Well, the thing is, Mike's been on a run now for what, 2 years? This is my one big game of that. I normally struggled to break the 300 points last year, so I'm not going to count any chickens yet. There's still some very strong teams in the R. I mean, obviously, I think the Unicorns will be up there towards the end. Playoffs last year. Pigskins, obviously, they've been affected a little bit by Dak. That won't help them too much. And the Arsenic, I think another strong side. I think there's some big strong signs up there, obviously with the Blitz as well. So if I can get myself in the top half this year, I'll be very happy. I struggled last year a little bit at times, so we will see. Who have you guys got this weekend?
I've got Nick and the Tyrants, and I hope to do dirty to him in his short time in the futures, as Greg would call us. I hope I can send the Tyrants crying with the loss for them and the Packers, hopefully.
Well, yeah, I've got the Puffins, so it's an embarrassing loss if I was to lose. I think last time I checked, I was favoured by 40 points or something like that, but I'm not sure if that was after I'd set my lineup or not. But it needs to be a win.
I guess he comes down to Cooper Cup. If he can have another massive week, then that could be a bit closer. But obviously, he did inherit, pardon my French, a shit show of a franchise when he took over this summer. So he's done well to get it back.
He's in a rebuild. He's doing very well. Yeah, so far. I think. Yeah.
He's obviously invested some picks on players and stuff. So it'll be interesting how it goes. And I've got the Blitz, so that'll be difficult. And then the Bears have got the Packers, so that'll be fun.
Go Bears!
2-0.
Hopefully 2-0 would be great. Imagine that. Everyone's counting us for the first pick of next year's draft. We start off 2-0. Against two favourites in the 49ers and the Packers. I don't know. I think the Packers will adjust quite a lot this week. I mean, they've got guys there, but our roster is a little bit kind of stuck together with sticky tape and blue tack and sticky back plastic and stuff. So I guess we'll see. Who the Jets got?
Browns. So another difficult one, I think.
The Saints don't really matter, so that's fine.
Saints Bucks.
Bucks. Oh, big game. Cool. Right. So that wraps up week 1 of Across the Pond. So thanks for joining us, and we will see you guys next time.
Cheers, guys.
Yes.